She was crying, so I held up the speckled egg as a present. But my pudgy fingers held too tight, and before I knew it, yellow yolk and slimy white squished through my fingers. That, of course, made me cry, and Ma's cry turned into a laugh. "Oh, wee one, you'll be the death of me yet." She kissed me all over my face. From then on, Ma said she knew to always check the henhouse first when she couldn't find me. So, of course, that's where Uncle Andrew came looking the day my parents went off to get married. "Your ma said I'd find you here." He gathered me up in his lumberjack arms. My little arms couldn't even reach around his thick neck, but I loved being held by my Uncle Andrew. He was my first special friend. I was the only baby in the house, and I got all his attention. I just loved that he was mine, and it was that way the 17 years I lived in Canada. Eventually, I'd piece it together. I had to figure it out for myself because nobody wanted to tell me. I'd hear little things here and there, a snide comment or a sentence that was supposed to be secret. One day, I was about 10, it finally started to make sense. What tellin' there was came from Uncle Andrew, usually with hesitation, usually with a positive spin on everything. But he never could deny me anything, so over the years I coaxed the secrets out of him. He always made me promise not to tell my ma, and he didn't have to worry, because this wasn't the kind of news you want to confront your ma with. My birth was a family scandal. I can just imagine my grandma wailing and my grandpa swearing, and my uncles threatening revenge when it turned out that my 15-year-old ma was in the family way, without a wedding band on her hand. He wasn't even a good Irish boy, but the Scottish farmer down the way, boy, that really made it awful. I don't know why my Irish grandparents couldn't stand Scottish people, or why my Scottish father's people detested the Irish. Uncle Andrew said it went back to the old country. "I've never had much use for that kind of hatred," Andrew told me one day when we were out in the field, and nobody could hear him telling me family secrets. "Your pa wanted to marry Frances right away, you got to know that. Yes, he did. But his pa wouldn't hear of it. He threatened to disown Thomas and ban him from the family. I thought your pa would... Well, it's a terrible thing to lose your family, so they didn't get married right away." It was the only time I ever heard disappointment in my uncle's voice when he talked about my father. "I was the logical one to take Frances in while she waited for you to be born." He answered the first part of my question. "It wouldn't look right for her to stay with Da and Ma not being in the family way," was the answer to part 2. "I already had my small farm, the one you first remember. Frances and I have always been real close, and I wouldn't let anything hurt her." "So she was hiding at your place?" My uncle winced and said I shouldn't think of it that way. It was just best. But I knew I was right. "Remember the day I found you in the hen house and we spent the whole day, just us?" Of course I remembered it, because at the end of the day, my ma and pa came riding up in a carriage and they hugged me for a very long time. "That's the day they went off and got married? And your pa was real proud to take his family home to his house that night." I cried when I had to leave Uncle Andrew. But the new house had a nice crib Pa said he made for me, and a stone fireplace where I could play and always be warm. And that's where we lived for the next few years. "I love Uncle Andrew," I announced one day when Ma was sewing and I was playing with my doll. "So do I. He's my special big brother." I'd never have a big brother, and I felt cheated. When I got older and asked questions every day, I asked Ma why Uncle Andrew was so special. The stories she told me only made me yearn even more for a big brother of my own. I wondered if I'd ever find anyone who'd take care of me like Andrew took care of my ma. "It was Andrew who took the blame when I set the barn on fire," Mother confided. "He still carries the scars on his arms. Da whipped him good for the fire, and I cried all the time knowing it should be me. But he told me to stay quiet, and he took all the blame on himself. I was about 11 then, and he was